My name is Emma, and I'm 28 years old. I come from a quiet village where everyone knows everyone. Growing up, my mom and dad were deeply devoted to their faith. They had clear rules about everything. They taught me what they believed was right and wrong. They always said that affection between two people is something sacred, something you don't play with. According to them, becoming husband and wife is not just a ceremony, it's a promise that lasts forever. Because of everything they told me, I developed firm principles. I made a personal decision. I would save myself for the person I would marry someday. I never went out with anyone romantically. I never had someone special in my life. I never attended gatherings where boys and girls paired up. No one had ever pressed their lips against mine. I had zero experience with romantic gestures. This was my own decision. Nobody forced me. When I went to university, I noticed something interesting. Many of my classmates lived differently. They went on dates all the time. They constantly discussed the guys they were seeing. Sometimes they teased me for being old-fashioned, but their words didn't hurt me. I didn't worry about their opinions. My beliefs mattered more to me. I wanted to meet someone who would honor my decision to wait. I imagined my wedding ceremony in my head. I knew many people had multiple partners before settling down, but I chose to protect my feelings. I wanted to offer my whole heart to just one person. That person would become my life partner. Side by side, we would create a beautiful future together. I kept hoping for that magical time to arrive. One afternoon, I walked into a small cafe. That's where I came across a guy named Daniel. He was quite tall with attractive features. The moment he smiled in my direction, something fluttered inside my chest. I felt nervous, but Daniel approached me anyway. He told me he admired what I was wearing. Later on, I mentioned Daniel to my close friend Sophie. Sophie had connections everywhere. She warned me, "Emma, you need to be cautious. Daniel has a reputation. He jumps from one relationship to another." A wave of concern washed over me. I wished Sophie was mistaken. I wanted to think Daniel was not like the others. I believed my care for him could transform him into a better person. Daniel began reaching out to me daily. He delivered bouquets to my door. He wrote me beautiful texts. He made me believe I was important. I started thinking that fate had brought Daniel into my life. I convinced myself that his feelings were genuine. I allowed myself to imagine a life together with him. One night, Daniel invited me to an elegant place for dinner. Daniel told me I looked stunning. His compliments filled my heart with joy. When dinner ended, Daniel offered to drive me back. He parked his car right in front of my gate. He shifted toward me and gazed directly into my face. Daniel whispered, "Emma, you're always on my mind." My pulse quickened, then he moved even closer. Suddenly, his mouth touched mine. This was the moment I had always saved for after becoming someone's wife. I had imagined this would only happen within marriage. But right then, I didn't step back. I allowed myself to experience it. After it was over, I felt a rush of happiness. Then doubts crept in about my parents with their firm beliefs and what their reaction would be. I questioned whether I had crossed a line. The following morning, Daniel reached out again. He wanted another meeting. We gathered at a peaceful garden. Daniel tried to get physically closer. Everything seemed to be happening way too fast. I glanced at him and spoke firmly, "Stop, Daniel. I need to wait. I can't do this before we're officially together." He went silent for a moment. Then he stared into my face and declared, "Then let's not delay, Emma. Let's become husband and wife very, very soon." 7 days went by. Then one night, Daniel contacted me with a proposal. He explained something about his work. He mentioned he had to travel to a city called Las Vegas for business reasons. Daniel suggested, "Join me, Emma. Let's have our wedding ceremony there. I can't stand waiting anymore." His words felt unreal. Everything I had dreamed about was happening. Daniel wanted me to be his wife. A wedding in that famous city. I agreed immediately. A few days later, we boarded a plane together. The place was noisy and chaotic. I felt slightly overwhelmed. But Daniel stayed beside me. He gripped my hand tightly. I put on a plain white gown. Daniel gazed at me with warmth. We discovered a tiny chapel. No family members were present, just the two of us. We exchanged vows. Daniel kissed me gently. He whispered, "You belong to me now." I felt like the luckiest person alive. That same night was supposed to be our first night as a married couple. I expected everything to be wonderful. I was finally united with the man I adored. But something didn't feel right. Daniel acted strangely. He stared at me. However, his expression seemed cold. He poured himself some alcohol, then he had more. He grabbed his phone and walked into the other room to have a conversation. He remained there for what felt like forever. I sat by myself in the hotel suite. I had just gotten married. Yet I felt completely isolated. I wondered why Daniel seemed so far away emotionally. Is this what being married feels like? I desperately hoped it wasn't. When morning came, Daniel appeared distracted. He barely glanced my way. He walked out the door without saying anything. I felt utterly lost. I sat there expecting his return. I waited hour after hour. Eventually, Daniel returned to the room. His face showed no warmth. He avoided eye contact. He announced, "I want to end this marriage." Everything inside me went numb. I assumed he was playing some cruel joke. I expected him to start laughing any second. But Daniel remained completely serious. He continued, "You're not the person I thought you were. You're too plain and boring. You don't fit into the life I lead. You saved yourself your entire life for this moment and see where it got you." My entire world shattered. I couldn't process what was happening. Only 24 hours ago, we exchanged wedding rings. Now he was calling me dull and unworthy. Tears poured down my face uncontrollably. I sobbed until I had no energy left. Several days passed by slowly. I attempted to reach Daniel multiple times. He ignored every single call. He refused any form of contact. Daniel had vanished completely. I had no choice but to return to my hometown. I made the journey all alone. My family's reaction was devastating. They were furious beyond words. They accused me of bringing shame upon them. They criticized me for rushing into marriage without thinking. They shut me out emotionally. They refused to have any conversation. I felt like everything was over. My relatives, my husband, everything disappeared in a single day. I had nowhere to turn. Thankfully, my friend Sophie came through for me. She had her own small place. She offered me a space to stay. I packed my things and moved in with her. Sophie proved to be a loyal friend. She assisted me in finding employment. I secured a position at a small shop that sold books. I tried my hardest to move past Daniel and the heartbreak. One day, while working, I noticed a glossy magazine.
Right there on the cover was Daniel's photograph. My stomach dropped. He was attending some fancy events. A gorgeous lady was standing right beside him. The headline read, "Business Tycoon Daniel Morgan's Hidden Wedding." I couldn't breathe. My hands trembled violently. I studied his face carefully. He appeared confident and successful. Daniel owned multiple enterprises. He had vast amounts of wealth. He was well known across the region. None of this information had been shared with me. He kept everything about his status hidden. Anger boiled up inside me. Daniel had manipulated me completely. He married me, though I still didn't understand his reasons. Perhaps I was just entertainment for him. He convinced me he cared deeply. I refused to shed another tear over him. I wanted fairness. Our marriage certificate from Las Vegas was legitimate, so I decided to seek legal help. I visited an attorney's office. I presented him with our official marriage documents. The attorney informed me, "This union is binding by law. You are entitled to certain things." I wanted financial compensation from Daniel. I wasn't trying to be greedy or unfair. I requested support because Daniel abandoned me with absolutely nothing. When Daniel received the court documents, his reaction was explosive. He phoned me in a rage. He shouted, "You actually believe you can claim my fortune?" I responded calmly, "You destroyed my emotions. Now I'll claim what's fair." I ended the call immediately. Information about our marriage spread everywhere. Journalists showed up asking endless questions. Daniel hated having his private affairs exposed publicly. I stayed focused on my legal battle. My attorney fought tirelessly on my behalf. In the end, justice was served in my favor. The judge ruled that Daniel owed me a settlement. This wasn't simply about money for survival. It proved that Daniel couldn't mistreat people without facing consequences. Once word got out about the court's decision, my parents contacted me. They said, "Emma, please return home. We've forgiven everything that happened. I understood I couldn't return to my previous life. I told them honestly, I care about you deeply, but I must build my own path now. I have to stand on my own 2 feet. I was no longer that same young woman who left filled with embarrassment and guilt. I used the settlement funds wisely. I purchased a modest apartment for myself. After that, I enrolled in courses to continue my education. Everything had transformed completely. My belief in romance still existed, but my perspective had changed. I understood that genuine affection requires mutual respect. Without respect, love cannot survive. Daniel never respected who I was, which is exactly why everything fell apart. I occasionally spotted Daniel in celebrity magazines. He still looked like that same arrogant individual. However, whenever I saw his picture now, no pain touched my heart. My spirit remained whole, untouched by the darkness of what occurred. I felt contentment. I felt liberated and independent. If this story touched your heart, please show your support by liking, leaving a comment, sharing with others, and subscribing to the channel.